Hey everyone, hope you liked my last video about purchase contracts. Just a little bit of a little taster about them, a little bit of information. Obviously, because I've been dealing with so many buyers and it seems so complicated, but that should give you a little bit of a bit of information. I mean, not a whole lot because there's nothing visually to look alongside. I'm probably going to be doing that in the next video where we go through every little piece of the contract. But for now, what we're going to be doing is essentially a how-to guide, how to buy a house when it's busy as hell, right? And this is Edmonton right now. Obviously, middle of winter, good time to buy. You can pretty much offer what you want and have conditions you want, but I still think it's hella busy, and this springtime actually might be psycho. So we're going to go a little bit into it. If you're looking to buy a house, this is definitely something you need to know because you don't want to lose out on that house that you find. Some people, it takes forever to find a place. And then if you lose out in multiple offers, it's freaking horrible. Obviously, I was just dealing with one client and we lost out on a multiple offer because we were dealing with somebody who didn't have conditions. So we're going to go into a little bit more about that coming up. But first of all, we're going to get right into it. This one's going to be, first of all, purchase price. When you're looking to compete with other people, house comes on the market in a hot area, you probably want to offer as high as you possibly can without it feeling uncomfortable. Generally, I wouldn't suggest going over list price because in 2013 in Edmonton, in the real estate boom, people were going over list price, and look where we are now. There's been some losses, things have depressed. I would always say try to get it for below list price or at list price at the highest. Because then if the market goes down a little bit, it's not that bad, right? You don't want to be too emotional about it and get too caught up in bidding up and getting too high, because then it just gets out of control and you might be losing money. So we don't want to lose money, right? This is all it's about, is not losing money. So essentially you want to go as high as possible without it probably going over list price, unless you really love the house and you have a lot of money, right? But who has a lot of money, right? Obviously some people do, but not the general people. We want to get it for as cheap as possible. So next of all, what sellers really look at is possession date. So when do you want to move into the property? If it's an empty house, they want to do it as quick as possible. I would generally suggest a quick possession date. I would say probably about a month, right? In the last video I was talking about, I would suggest a month to 45 days. For a seller, as quick as possible. They want to get out of that house, that money in their bank account, and move on. So I would probably do as quick of a possession as humanly possible, right? How quick can your bank get you approved? How quickly can we do the financing? And how quickly can the lawyers get it done? So I'd probably say 2 to 4 weeks there. Next, initial deposit. When you're looking at initial deposit, the more money for an initial deposit, the better. So if you're looking to compete with some other people and you have a nice down payment, do a nice initial deposit, because it shows the sellers that you're actually serious about the property and that you have money, that you're not just a tire kicker, and that your offer is actually going to go through. So if you're serious, put as much initial deposit as possible, because if it doesn't go through, you get that money back, no problemo. Next step would 100% be the buyer's conditions. And this is a huge thing that comes up in multiple offer scenarios and in a hot real estate market. So when you're looking at buyer's conditions, obviously we have financing, we have property inspection, and we have sale of buyer's home. In a hot real estate market, sale of buyer's property, it just doesn't work. It won't fly unless you're buying a house that's hella not popular and it's been sitting on the market forever. Then they'll consider it. But if if you're looking at buying a hot property, you definitely want to be looking at financing, right? What happens in a multiple offer scenario is probably you're going to lose to somebody who has no financing condition and no inspection condition, which this is kind of a weird scenario because if you're a first-time home buyer, it's tough to compete with financing and property inspection. I would say that I would always have a financing condition in play unless you're paying cash. What you could do is I might suggest not doing a property inspection if it's a newer home. This is only if it's a multiple offer scenario here. We're talking hot because property inspection is great. It's a great tool. Always use it unless you're competing with other people. And I would say maybe you could get away with that. Maybe do a visual inspection. Financing inspection I would always suggest, obviously, because if you don't get approved by the bank, everybody's in trouble. It's not a good scenario. So that's just a little bit about those. Majority of the time when you're competing with people, they're probably not going to have a financing or inspection condition, but I probably wouldn't suggest that unless you have a lot of money and you're very confident that you're buying a great house. But if you have to do those, if you have to do a financing condition and a property inspection, you really want to make sure that they're done quickly so you have a very smaller window. Inspection, maybe do it in 3 to 4 days as opposed to a week to 2 weeks. Financing, make sure that it's also a quick window and your bank can get it done very quickly because otherwise you're just going to lose out. That's the thing about conditions. This is the most important part. Obviously, you can talk to me more about each individual house. We can go over it. But there's just a little bit of information for you. Sale of buyer's property, no bueno. Property inspection, if you're dealing with a multiple offer scenario, you might have to ditch that unless you're offering above list price. And financing, usually you'll be dealing with foreign buyers that just have the cash, so they might win out based on just no financing. The other thing you can do with an offer is I can really try to sell it to them. If we're the first ones in and I really convince them that you are a good buyer and that you're going to go through with it, and even if we have a financing and inspection condition, they still might accept it because it means that you're serious. And right, we need to do an inspection because we like the house and we want to get it done. We want to get the deal done. So it's all a confidence thing. If the sellers are confident that you're going to go through with the purchase, you might win the multiple offer scenario. Obviously, the things that increase their confidence is high purchase price, short possession date, no financing or short financing window, big initial deposit. So you want to put a big initial deposit. Inspection, no inspection, or a short inspection window. And that you're not selling your own property because who knows how long it could take to sell your property before you buy their property. So that's just a little bit of a window into that. I mean, that's just a little bit of a blitz for you on how to buy a house in a busy time. Obviously, when it's slow, I would definitely suggest just offering as low as possible and making sure that the offer's still reasonable, but low balls can come into play. I love putting in low offers on properties, especially if they've been sitting on the market for quite a while. In the last 5 years, the houses have been sitting on the market. It was a great time to buy because, I mean, consumer confidence wasn't that high. So you might not get that cheap of a price on the property, but you don't get in the multiple offer scenario, and you can have your financing, you can have your inspection, you can put a smaller initial deposit, and it was a little bit easier. So, but we're moving into probably the boom time based on this last corona year, especially once we get a corona vaccine, we're going to be freaking booming. Like, there's no doubt about it. Everybody would be coming out of their houses, coming out of lockdown, and they'll say, I want to buy a bigger house. I want to upgrade, or I want to downgrade. Like, let's get moving. People don't like to sit for too long without making moves. So hope you liked this video on a little bit into how to buy a house, how to make an offer, and how to get a house in a multiple offer scenario. So hope you like this video. I'm going to be coming up with another one when I actually get something in my brain I want to talk about. But hope you like this one. Like and subscribe, and have a good day.